everyone, and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. What a game last night, Monday Night Football. No matter how many times I do this show, I forget certain things I was going to do. Like I was going to tell you the prediction. I would have been way off. I'm glad I didn't do it. Who would have guessed 13-10? And who would have guessed the ref would have blown the call at the end of the game so the Seahawks would win? However, I think it's just idiotic that the linebacker knocked the ball out. He didn't have to. It would have went out anyway, or they could have jumped on it. Either way, I don't think, definitely Detroit didn't deserve to win that game. And that's all I have to say about that. I'm glad the Seahawks squeaked it out. Now they're at 500. They have to play Cincinnati next. Kind of, not worried, but that's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a real test for the Seahawks, is Cincinnati. Okay. We're going to do a couple of episodes. Well, first of all, I'm kind of excited. Pedro, I did I think around episode 100. By the way, this is episode 250. I have a special one for 300. Because I was going to do something special on 250, but I didn't have time to plan it. Things, life keeps going at a fast pace. Sometimes we forget, or we tend to not make plans for certain things. I might do one at 275. 275 is a big number also. Might involve my good friend Mike Sheridan, Northwest Totem Cellars. I'm hoping, maybe. But today we're going to do a, there I go, today, well, we are going to do a winery specific tasting. And the reason for that is that, well, a lot of different sales reps come to my store, just to give you a play on what my job is like, and they get brand incentives. So in other words, they want to get these brands in front of the buyers. If they sell more of these wines, then of course they get bonuses, whatever it is. And so I get it. I understand that. So they drop these wines off. But just recently, a friend of mine dropped off Gordon Wineries, Gordon Estate Wines, and it just reminded me of how much I loved Gordon Merlot way back in the day. I remember Gordon Estate Merlot was one of my favorite Merlots on the market. Of course, back in those days, it was around 14 bucks. Prices have gone up, as we understand they should. In this market, the way the world is, the way the dollar is, all of that stuff, we know that things are more expensive today than they were back in the 80s when I first started falling in love with Gordon Merlot. Now, Gordon Estates, they planted their first vineyards. They got help from Walter Clore. They planted their first vineyards in 1980. They're the oldest estate-owned winery in the state of Washington. Back in those days, I think there were 19 wineries. Now there's over 800 wineries in the state of Washington. Amazing. You start looking at that history, you're like, wow. They put out their first Chardonnay in '85. I didn't get to see when the first Merlot was released. But I remember my friend Gary, who took care of the wine department back in those days, turned me on to Gordon Brothers Merlot. I think they call themselves Gordon Brothers, yeah. And I just love that wine. So we're going to do the Syrah, the Merlot, the Merlot, and the Cab, and see how they're doing. I'm excited to be able to revisit these wines. It's been a long time since I've tasted Gordon Estate wine, so let's get started. 2012, Gordon Estate Syrah, Columbia Valley. 12 was a funny year. Runs in at 22 bucks. 2012 was a funny year. A lot of heat fluctuations, a lot of things going on in 12. Very intense heat at harvest. They had to harvest early, and what happened was you got a lot of extracted wines in 2012. I'm finding that I like 13 a little better, although there's a lot of great 12s. There's only one wine so far that I've tasted I didn't like as much as the 12 in the 13. And no matter what the winery is, it's very important to not just buy a wine based on reputation. Well, reputation is important, don't get me wrong. But vintages can change, can't talk, can change the makeup of the wine. And sometimes dramatically. Like I said, this one winery, I won't mention them, their 12 Cab was amazing. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. And then 13 comes out and it's like a little less than average. So, and it could be that it needs time in the bottle, that's for sure. But really a big difference. I remember 12 came out and just bang, fantastic. So, you know, make sure you don't buy into a wine until you've tried a specific vintage, or hopefully you have a wine person that you can go to that you trust and that has tasted it and they say, yep, this is the one, you need to try it. I've steered people away from the 13 from this other one just because I didn't want them to think that they were going to get what they got out of the 12. Let's see what we get on the nose on this Gordon Estate Syrah. So you get that real deep kind of rose petal tobacco. And there's actually some bright red fruit coming through, which is interesting. A little bit of baking spice, and I get like red plums, black plums, a little bit of boysenberry. Now you might say, what's the difference between boysenberry and blackberry? Well, boysenberries are bigger, obviously. They're a little juicier. So when I say boysenberry, that's what I mean. If I say blackberry, I mean blackberry, less of that bigger jamminess because there's less fruit there. You have to eat a lot of blackberries versus very few boysenberries. Interesting, I'm not getting really any bacon fat out of that, which is very typical of Washington State Syrah, to get that kind of bacon fat sort of element coming through it. Not getting that on this. Maybe just a touch of tar. Let's see what we get on the palate. Good structure. I mean, this is a very structured Syrah. Nice intensity, good acidity. I like that. I like the acidity. A lot of Syrahs sometimes will come in a little bit larger, more fruit forward. This has a nice, good crisp freshness to the backside of the wine. Oops. I get a little bit of that tobacco coming through. I definitely get the plum boysenberry aspect to this wine. Nice boysenberry flavors coming through with a little bit of tarry edge to it. I like that. It's a great food Syrah. I'll give you that much. Yeah, I thought I'd get a little blueberry on the mid palate. This is more, I know a lot of you probably haven't tried Côte Rôtie. A lot of us can't afford Côte Rôtie. I've had opportunity to taste a couple just in tasting events. They're fairly expensive from Northern Rhone. And they have a higher acid content. They definitely need to lay down. This one is very drinkable now. Doesn't need to lay down necessarily, but will improve over the next 5 to 7 years. I would give it 5 to 7 years easily. 22 bucks. It's a good play. This would be great with grilled meats. I like this wine. I'm liking this Syrah. It's kind of wearing on me. Yeah, it's got that nice fruit on the mid palate. The acid is not as well balanced. Finish is just a skosh thin. But that would be the only thing. I'm going B on that. I think that's a good Syrah. 22 bucks. Good play. Let's move on to the Gordon Estate Merlot. By the way, this Syrah has just a touch of Cab and Merlot in it. Gordon Estate Syrah 2013. Merlot, Columbia Valley. Camiac Vineyards, what the name of their vineyard is. I'm excited to try this. It's been a long time since I've tried Gordon Brother Merlot. All of you know, I'm a big fan of Washington State Merlot. This is 100% Merlot. It's kind of nice to see people getting off that kind of anti-Merlot thing. I still hear it every once in a while, which is kind of weird. Merlot is an amazing wine, as we've said many times, and I do not want to beat a dead horse here. But some of the best wines in the world are Merlot, Pomerol. You have Cheval Blanc is mostly Merlot. Petrus is almost entirely Merlot. This is 100% Merlot. 22 bucks. Let's see what we get on the nose. Oh, I think this is corked. Nope. If it is, it's ever so slightly corked. No, it's weird, that initial kick. I was like, oh no, we got a corked wine, but now it's coming through more. I get like this baking spice, a little bit of cinnamon. Definitely cherries and currants. Big time. Wow on the flowers. I mean, it's like violets and, well, mostly violets. Mostly violets. All day on the nose, which is really cool. That was so weird. I very rarely ever put my nose in a glass and think it's corked and then put it in again and go, ah. That was right out of the bottle. It gave me that hit of weird, weird. It's not there now. A little bit of a tobacco coming through. Even a nice little kind of milk chocolate, like Ghirardelli chocolate coming through. If that makes any sense to you. Yeah, let's see what we get on the palate. Boy, that caught me. Again, very good structure on this wine. Good acidity, good fruit. It has a real bright finish. That red flowers, almost like a sour cherry element coming through on the backside, which is quite interesting. Not a bad thing, which really kind of tells you, you know, this might be, you know, blue cheeseburger wine for sure. Good football wine. Believe it or not, this wine is a little bit closed. I mean, I'm thinking, I've tasted a lot of wines in my life, and you can kind of tell when they're not living up to their full potential. There's a lot of potential there, but it hasn't hit that potential yet. I'm getting a lot of chocolate, but it's very subdued chocolate, not like sweet chocolate, almost like unsweetened cocoa powder, but not quite. You know, I mean, it's heading towards sweeter chocolate, but it's staying right in the middle of those two things, which I find quite interesting. Has a little bit of tobacco and bark notes coming through, and then right on the back end, I get this like kind of, it's not really, it's not herbaceous, but it's almost there. So there's a lot of things going on in this wine that are kind of like have a lid on them. I mean, I'm thinking this wine needs another couple, 3 years before it really shows its true colors. I see the potential big time. I'm getting that leathery sort of thing on the backside. This wine has huge potential. Huge potential. I'm going to buy a couple bottles of these. I'm not even going to open them for 3 to 4 years. I think it's really hard for me to grade this wine right now. I mean, I do understand where it could go. 13 was a much better vintage than 12 for the growers. They had a nice cool fall that allowed them to hang the fruit a little bit longer, get that fruit where they wanted it. That chocolate kind of lingers on the backside. This, I have to say right now, in all honesty, this wine right now is a B wine. I'm going to say it has the potential to be an A+ wine. And I should, if I remember, I'm going to mark it on the bottle. I am going to review this, if I'm still doing this, I don't know, who knows, in 3 years. I'm going to review the 2013 Gordon Estate Merlot to see where it's going. I think it's A+ potential. Let's move on. Excuse me. 2013 Gordon Estate Cabernet Sauvignon. I believe it was 80% Cab, 20% Merlot. This is rolls in at $25. I'm still bummed about the focus on my camera at Maddie's place up there at Chuck Bay Distillery. Just ticks me off. That's why I need a cameraman. I should have had Tony film it for us so we could at least see where it was focusing. It's no fun when you're watching a video and you can't see the label, or it's all fuzzy and you're going, is this guy really, does he really know what he's doing? You see, from here, I can only see what the screen shows me. I think I was a little further back with Maddie, and yeah, great video though. I want you to, if you get a chance, watch it. I think it's episode 248. Great, great interview. Maddie's a great guy, and if you're ever up in Bellingham, go visit his place. It's really amazing. It's a little hole in the wall distillery. Just has all those elements that you really kind of, I wouldn't call it romantic, but kind of cool, kind of hip sort of thing going on there. Okay, let's see what we get on the nose with this cab. Wow, this definitely has a kind of leather meets asparagus meets celery, currants, a little perfumed element coming through, a little bit of bark and tobacco. I actually like the nose on this. I love it when I stick my nose in the glass and all these things happen. It's kind of cool. That's why I kind of encourage you to smell your wine. Don't be a geek about it. I mean, you don't have to try and identify everything, but just smell it. Let those aromas kind of hit you. If you want to try and guess what you're smelling, or if you want to, because really smells are based on your experience in life. I mean, you're not going to smell something if you've never smelled it or you're not familiar with that aroma. So that's really a lot of things. And people go, well, a lot of times you'll smell a wine with somebody else and they'll say, oh, I smell this, and you say, oh, I get that too. They think that's kind of smoke and mirrors. It's not really. I mean, if you think about it, if you haven't had a lot of blueberries, for instance, in recent past, and then somebody says, well, there's a lot of blueberry on there, then all of a sudden that triggers a memory. Triggers, your mind says, oh yeah, I've had blueberry before. It doesn't smell like blueberry. I remember one time I was smelling a wine, I said, this has a lot of cotton candy on it. And the dude standing next to me goes, I would have never thought of cotton candy, but you're absolutely right. Now, was that power of suggestion? No, that was just me identifying to the flavor, and him, it triggered in his mind. Oh yeah, cotton candy. Nothing wrong with that. Okay? It's just funny to me how people are very suspicious about that sort of thing, and they shouldn't be, really. I mean, sometimes I've had people, one time I smelled celery on a wine, and the wine salesman said, I don't get celery on that. And so we were actually at a bar. We asked the guy in the back if he'd chop up some celery. We brought it out. He smelled the wine. He goes, I give up. You're right, celery. He doesn't necessarily like celery, so he doesn't eat it a lot. I love celery. It's kind of worthless food, but I like it. I like munching on a celery stick. Celery and peanut butter. Does it get better than that? Does it get better than that? Yeah, it's like tobacco and herbs and veggies and currants. A little bit of leather, a little bit of chocolate coming through on this one also. Let's see what we get on the palate. So what the Merlot was hiding, this one is showing. I mean, I like the, I get a little bit of that celery in the background, I get a little bit of asparagus. It's not huge, it's not off-putting for you guys. A lot of tobacco, currants, very smooth, very polished, a little grit on the tannins on the back end, which I like, and there's chocolate on the finish, big time. Good acidity, good structure. This one will age also, but it doesn't need to age to get its full potential. I think you can really nail it right now. A little spice on the back end. I like that wine. I'm going to go A-, hedging towards A. A-, hedging towards A. Really good cab, 25 bucks. Spicy on the backside, big time. I'm totally still getting that spice, kind of spicy cherries and currants coming through. Thanks for watching, and remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. Drink it. Enjoy it. Be willing to try new things. These are not new things, but I haven't tried them in a while. Revisit things, but never, ever, ever let anybody tell you what you should or should not like. And if we do that, together we can take the snob out of wine.